So welcome to another episode of Commander Durdle, the home of lazy deck building. So we're looking at Eldritch Moon, and I'm using the Architect algorithm that uses EDH Rec to help me build a deck again, because I just wouldn't be able to remember all these cards. Part of my reason for doing things this way and not doing it manually is twofold. One is my knowledge of Magic cards just isn't that encyclopedic. And my other concern is, if I was to do this manually by searching certain things, there is a tendency where I'm just going to go for cards that I recognise. And this way I don't end up, doing what... you tend to see me do it anyway, because, if I'm playing white, I tend to shove in, Phyrexian Rebirth. I always seem to end up playing Rogue's Passage, that sort of thing. What I like about using recommender engines is it does actually force you to look at a world through a slightly different lens, albeit the wisdom or madness of crowd lens. But it's interesting nonetheless. And I'm particularly interested how, the use of the seed obviously biases that recommender and what you ultimately end up with. So, with that said, how have I seeded this? So we obviously have Ishkanah, Grafwidow, based on EDH Rec statistics, not the most popular commander, at least from their viewpoint, in the set. But hey, I wanted to build a Spider Tribal set, a Spider Tribal deck. So it's 4 and a green for a 3/5. It has reach, as do spiders. Delirium, so when it enters the battlefield, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put 3 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach onto the battlefield. 6 and a black, so it's actually a green-black commander. Target opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. So we want spiders in there. We also want cards that generate spider tokens, and you're probably aware of, there's been a number of cards in Magic over the years that help generate spider tokens, help generate green tokens. But we're specifically looking for spider tokens. There may be other cards, and I can't remember what colours they're in, that actually might allow us to change a creature type so they're all spiders, but we'll see. My memory might be a bit foggy on that. So what I wanted to do is just basically from the set in green and black pick either a spider or some sort of utility. So I've kept this pretty low, didn't put a ton of other utility cards in there, but I did want to include the Tree of Perdition. This is this one, so 3 in a black, it's a 0/13. It does have Defender, but you can tap it and exchange a target opponent's life total with Tree of Perdition's toughness. The only spider in green or black in the set. And so in this case, the only spider is Swift Spinner. It's 3 in a black for 2/3 with flash. It's got reach. That's it. So that might get pushed out by something else, but we'll see. And then, as I mentioned in the set musings, what I'm going to do, or what I've done for the rest of this, is just pick certain utility that you would want to have in a deck, but the utility is coming from the set. So we have the set's destruction spell, or one of them. 5 and a black, quite a high cost. We get to destroy a target creature. Its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Splendid Reclamation, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then Prey Upon, so that's the green removal spell, the way you fight a target creature we've got instance, we have this artifact and enchantment removal spell, which also has life gain stapled to it. So by having the presence of some additional life gain, life drain, life gain, we might see some cards that synergize with that. Again, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Succumb to temptation, you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. So mentioned in the set musings, often this is how black does card draw. Murder was in the set as a reprint, so that's in here. Clear Shot's interesting, so target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So it doesn't fight it, but it does this thing. You know, you can see there's an arrow there where it pumps it and then deals damage based on its power that has been pumped by 1. Grapple with the past. Put the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard. Then you may return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. We've mentioned those 2. Enchantment wise, we've got Crop Sigil. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you may you may put the top card of your library into your graveyard. We've got Delirium for 2 and a green. Sacrifice Crop Sigil, return up to 1 target creature card and up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Okay, so what's happening here is this is going to put, and it's nice because it's a May, it's going to put cards from our library into our graveyard, which is going to help with the Delirium here. Now, I suppose I could have had a go at a Delirium deck, but I decided not to. We've got Terrarion, which is this common mana rock. Enters the battlefield tapped. For 2, you tap it, you sacrifice it, you add 2 mana in any combination of colours to your mana pool. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card. So there's card replacement going on there. I'm sure there's other mana rocks that would be better. You know, this is 1 to put it on the battlefield. It comes into play tapped, and then an additional 2 to get that 2 mana. So it's slow, and ultimately you're paying what, 3 mana here, because you also can't obviously sacrifice it until it untaps. And then we've got Cryptolith Fragment, so another mana rock but with a twist. So it enters the battlefield tapped, you add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Each player also loses 1 life, so maybe there might be a sub thing we might be to work around about sort of life transfer here. We'll see, because we've got, you know, some other cards. At the beginning of your upkeep, if each player has 10 or less life, transform Cryptolith Fragment. So obviously just through this, in multiplayer where everybody's life is a lot higher than regular Magic, it's going to be painful to try and get the mana down using this. The life down using this. But if we can find other ways, then this will transform. But what will it transform into? Anything useful? Let's have a look. So transform to this Eldrazi Reflection, which has Flying Death Touch. Whenever Aura of Emrakul attacks, each opponent loses 3 life, and it's a 1/4. So definitely got some life shenanigans sub-theme going on here. That wasn't intentional. Okay, let's go in and see what we get suggested. So obviously I need to make sure I've got sufficient numbers of different types of card if I want to trigger Delirium. Now the other thing I forgot here is my land. So let's remedy that now. See what we get. We've got some swamps. Question is, we've already seen in the previous episode, because this set didn't have any non-basics in it. We're doing forest. So we could just elect to use, I've done this before, the most recent. That looks a bit grainy. The most recent artwork from the most recent set that's in here. No, let's do. So previous to this set would have been. See, I'm terrible. I can't even remember what I did last week. Shadows over Innistrad. So if I search on SOI. Yep, suitably creepy. And here on SOI as well. Oops. Excuse my. It's the only problem with fancy. I've got this quite fancy mouse, but it does sorts of all. It's one of those ones that does crazy things when you accidentally push a certain part of it. Oh yeah, nice. So the other thing, as I said, is I did fail in here. Let me just bounce into Scryfall, and I just want to recheck the non-basic land, so in case I miss something. What utility land? We can't play that. Play draws a card, then discard the card. Okay, interesting. Spell or ability the opponent controls cause you to discard a card you may reveal. Put it on top of your library instead of putting it anywhere else. Well, are they going to do any harm in the deck? Obviously we can't play this. It is May. Okay. So neither of these work well for mana fixing, but they have interesting utility. So let's put them in, seeing as they're here. Geie. Geie. And the other one was Nephalia. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting, of course, it'll show the name based on the reprint. Well, it was in Commander 2019, so if it's good enough for Commander 2019, It's good enough for me. Has there been any Commander products? No. Oh well. Right. Switch into this, all card types. Okay, so 2 colour, bit of a command tower, and we should have a soul ring. Now, the thing that reminded me of land is, of course, the deck, if we do want to trigger Delirium, needs to make sure we have a sufficient amount of different card types where that's likely to be a thing. So I've just got to keep that in the back of my mind. Obviously, on the flip side, it's nice if I can make sure that I also have a fairly high spider count, and if I include in that utility creatures, then that count needs to be fairly high. So we're probably still talking about 30 creatures to make sure that, because I'm probably going to have some utility creatures in here which aren't spiders, I then got sufficient spiders as well. Now we are in green, we might be able to cut back a bit on the land, although I tend not to like to do that until I see a few sample hands. So what I'm going to do at the moment is put this land base up to around, say, 36 maybe. Something like that. We'll leave it at that for the moment, and then we'll go back and we'll do a proper look at the mana base. So I think I'll start off, I'll leave the spiders and other creatures till last. So we'll do the usual thing, I don't know, 8 to 10 instants, sorceries and artifacts, and then we'll see what sort of enchantments we get as well. See if there's enchantments that are going to be spitting out tokens. So let's do that artifact wise. Okay, good old Signet. That obviously we want to play. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile a target creature you control. So that's useful because of this. So I can keep like bouncing Ishkanah, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, in and out. So maybe that's all the artifacts I want for the moment. Obviously, as I've mentioned, there may be better mana rocks, but sometimes it's fun to just have the stuff from the set in it if you're not caring too much about just having like auto include mana rocks in this colour. Instance, okay. So I want to play that and that. Now, black-green has a number of nice or a handful of nice destruction spells, one of which is Putrefy. Some interesting tutoring there. We were sort of talking about these earlier in the set musings, this sort of thing in the set. And I'm you know, like I said, I could have included a lot more delirium spells, but I just wanted to see what would get suggested for that particular aspect. Got Harrow in the set. Charm wise, because charms are always interesting to look at. All creatures get -1/-1. Okay. It's Deathsprout. It's control and mace. Okay. So, interesting removal package. We've gone a bit over the top here. I need to roll some of this back a little bit. So the other one, so what I'm doing here is I'm just taking out some of the slightly weaker stuff from the set. That is card draw there, that one. We do have murder. Beast Within, Clear Shot. Maybe I won't have that in there. I don't want to go too over the top with the instance necessarily, because they're taking up creature spots. Okay, so Grisly Salvage versus... Where's the other one? Grapple with the past. Put the top 3 cards in your graveyard. You may return a creature card or main card from the graveyard to your hand. And this one, for the top 5, you may put a creature in your hand. So that's like the reverse of that. And they do 2 different things. They're both pretty useful. Yeah, I'll revisit this, I think, once we see where we are sorcery-wise. Oh, spider spawning, yes please. So my guess is it's going to suggest a lot of different things for searching out basic land. Cultivate, rampant growth, Kadama's Reach. That's useful. Maybe I'll play that instead of... the other thing. Oh, so much utility. Wow. It's coming out. I'm going to actually take Prey Upon out. And there was something else here. I noticed that doubles up. Maybe I already took it out. Yeah. So 2 cards, that does 2 cards and I lose 2 life for 1 and 2 black. Got Harmonise here, which draws 3 cards for 2 and 2 green with no downside. And maybe I'll take that out. 11 instants, 9 sorceries. Yeah, that's fine. 7 artifacts. Enchantment wise, okay. That obviously synergizes with the commander. Let's just search down here and see what we got. Anything spitting out spiders that I don't miss it. Oh, the usual green creatures. Control of Death Touch. That's always interesting with reach. That's there more because there's some stuff in here. The creatures in here have higher toughness than power. And I've got that 1 defender creature in there. Okay. Good thing is with this is there's a way of turning this off. So I will include that. That was from the previous set, that one. Sylvan Anthem, I think works in here. That's fine. So let's try and see what sort of planeswalker we get suggested. Oh, a lot of Spider Queen. 3 and 2 black, 4 loyalty. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a loyalty counter on. Oh, Spider Queen, draw a card, use 1 life. Create 2/1 black spider creature token with menace. Okay, and you get an emblem. Yep. So, instant sorceries, artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers. 75. So, I think we can start putting creatures in. Fiddle around with our land base in terms of extra utility. Let's do that first and see what land we're going to get suggested. So, oh yeah. And a rolling world and that. Do like that. Cemetery, Bojuka Bog, spiders were playing this deck. Okay. Interacts interestingly with if you get a whole load of tokens come into play. Try that for the moment. Right, spiders away. Okay. See what we have down the bottom. I did want that in there. So, looks good. Exile creature card from the graveyard. Create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Then each opponent loses 1 life for spiders you control. Deadly Recluse already has Death Touch on it. Oh, let's create a 1/2. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converted mana X or less. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. Interesting way of dealing with flying creatures. Arachnus Web. Oh, is that the... yeah. Let me just search for that actually. Oh, it's that one. Huh. Yeah, why not? A little bit of a combo there. I've locked down an opponent's utility creature. So. This is cool. Hexproof from blue. Okay. Elf Spider. So we've got a few here that are actually generating tokens, which is cool. Oh, I like that. Doom Weaver has Soul Bond on it. Another Death Touch Spider. It's a Wither Spider. It replaces, not itself, but it spits out a 1/2 green spider token. Got a cycling spider there. So I've got Security Tribe Elder and Adaptive Automaton. Always handy in a tribal deck. And Metallic Mimic. Actually, that's probably why. Of course, I didn't think of that's why that sub theme's coming through. Because quite a bit of there's quite a number of spiders whose toughness is higher than their power. Why not? Bit of fun. Oh, we've still got 4 slots. 4 slots. Cool. Let's re-roll this and see. So 4 slots. So spiders and or utility creatures. Okay. It's got interesting utility on it. Nice vanilla creature there. What have we got? So this is because it's a shapeshifter, it's also a spider. Because every creature type. You may cast creatures. Okay, I like the sound of that. Casting from the top of your library. Neat way of getting rid of equipment. Way of getting rid of flyers. Okay, we're there. So the other thing, if I wanted to take this further, then I would start probably looking at these. Let me export this. Oh, before I do that, jumping ahead a bit, I should take a look at my, excuse me, my mana base. Okay, so definitely, yeah, there's more green stuff in this deck. Okay, our cut's looking not too bad. So I would probably, do I want to go lower than 10 there? Maybe not. Oh, 101. Try that. Don't want to drop too low. I only use this because the cards seem clearer. Okay, so we got one forest, a Golgari Charm, Spider, sorry, Hatchery Spider. We do have a Terrarian. Automaton. Okay, well let's just see. So we can play that and cast that. We can't sack it. Obviously it comes into play tap, but unless we get a yeah, interesting. It's like a one-shot fixing. Yeah, I would probably take this out of the deck, replace it with something else, or just put more land in. That is not a great opening thing, because now I can't play anything. Oh, Bojuka Bog. Early Bojuka Bog. Probably not the best idea. That is not good. Let's try a new game. Let's go back here a step. I think I'm going to do something here. Let's just re-explore this. Make sure something weird hasn't happened. Export again. Let's try a second time. Okay, so turn one forest. 2 forest. Turn 3 Sakari Tribe Elder. See what I get. So if I crack that now for Swamp, it comes into play tapped. I can still play a Deadly Recluse. So let's do that. So I can play tapped and untap it next turn. At the moment, we can't play anything, but we can play a Swamp Yard and then... So that's turn 5, but we do want to leverage Delirium before we play this, so we can get the 3/1/2 spiders into play. So at the moment we have a creature in here. What would I want to play next? Probably that. Clear shot. Then Brood Weaver. I've got to be careful here because we're not making any wild land drops. So there's our swamp. Another one. So obviously we could be swinging with this. And again, this does the thing with the damage equal to its toughness. So you know that's damage as a 4, as though it was a 4/4. It's a 2/2, a 4/4, basically. A murder. Okay. And the other problem when you're goldfish, obviously what we could do is we could do a hypothetical here. So we could say, oh yeah, our opponent had something we wanted to get rid of and we cast it. So we've got enough mana. Let's say that happens. So we've now got 2 different card types. That's 2 out of the 3. Alternatively, I suppose we could have played the clear shot. I was hoping to get... I'm just wondering with this as well, I didn't think that through. What I should have done is maybe included a few more sack lands, because that would have helped. Yeah, so that's a good point actually. So you may want to play slightly more sack lands in this deck without compromising the the swamps, so play them in the green slots maybe. Crop Sigil, beginning upkeep. Okay, so we could get that out. It's pretty easy. Oh, we can definitely get Lolith out. And start drawing cards. Let's just draw cards, here we go. So our spiders are coming out, no problem. This would be our Tree of Perdition. So a whole load of creatures here in play. This is nice. But we're not in really a position to play this. So, oh, spider spawning again, not till stuff starts dying. So another problem with goldfish, of course, goldfishing is stuff like this. You can't really emulate unless you pretend, a bit like I did with the case of murder, like stuff has happened and then stuff's gone to your graveyard. Maybe someone's wrath the board, and of course if you did get wrath then and end up with all these, then of course this becomes much more powerful. Let's just see what else we've got here. We're not even in a position to play that. And it's almost tempting to, in some ways, to just stand more chance of getting, in a position where this is going to trigger when you cast it, to actually play lower casting cost sorceries. Just so you stand a better chance of casting them early, maybe. This command tower. Let's just have a look again and see. Yeah, this deck definitely, I'm not going to be doing it in this episode, but this definitely needs a bit of tweaking here. To think a little bit more about how to, not so much more delirium cards, but thinking more about how to trigger delirium. And having more cards that allow you to get your, get that delirium trigger happening. I'm definitely having trouble with my mana here. Weird. Yeah, this deck definitely needs work. So as a consequence, if I did want to ensure that I was making the most of this, maybe I don't care. Maybe just the fact that this is a 5/5 with those cards that, do that business with the toughness is good enough. Maybe I don't need to hang on to that quite so much. Maybe I just get it into play and then bounce it at a later date. That's a possibility. But if I was keen to try and trigger this, I think I'm going to have to play around a little bit more here. Like I said, if I was worried about not being able to cast stuff because it was too high mana, maybe I'd want to set like a threshold above here where I only play sorceries, utility sources that are, say, 4 mana or less, 4 CMC or less. Same might be true of instants, although not such a big problem there. With the spiders, I don't think there's an issue. If you've been seeing, I get quite a few spiders out, but maybe I might not want to play so many of those. Maybe to bump up, say, some artifacts that I need to sack. Maybe it was a mistake for me to take that mana rock out that you sack, because that would certainly add to the delirium. So yeah, lots to think about if you're trying to get that to work. Anyway, thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next video.